Welcome to John McGivern's Main Streets, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of this popular TV program.
Sometimes I think my job is so hard.
You'll hear John and his producer Lois Maurer on the drive home as they chat about their impressions of the community and share interesting stories that you may not hear about anywhere else. Today's episode, Stillwater, Minnesota.
So we just finished Stillwater. Exactly. We came from what may have been my favorite thing we did in Stillwater, which we went through the factory at Andersen Windows and Doors. Andersen, A-N-D-E-R-S-E-N, not Anderson, S-O-N. Don't make that mistake.
Did you make that mistake? Is that
never, no. But, yeah.
Well, they didn't show us the whole plant because, thank God, it's like 3 million square feet.
We're on a campus where the plant is how big?
Well, this is one of the largest manufacturing sites in the Midwest. We have over 40 acres, over 3 million square feet under roof here.
My dogs are barking.
It was a long walk. At least we had to wear our tennies to that one, so my feet are okay. But man, that's a big facility.
And we went with the number 2 guy there,
right?
Chris, who was
Chris Gavin.
He had movie star looks.
Galvin, right? Galvin.
Yeah, Galvin.
Nice man. Movie star looks.
We
noticed that.
Incredibly charming. That was fun. And it's really amazing. I thought he was great.
I thought it was interesting. There are 3,000 people that work there.
Out of
we
a
went
town
on a
of
Saturday
20,000.
though. So because when we scheduled this, if we would have went on a weekday, it's just like nutso in terms of people and city and congestion, and like trying to get in and out is really hard. With all the people that work there, it's just, there's a lot. And so how kind of them to come in on a Saturday just for us.
That was nice.
Stillwater is the classic ginormous lumber town.
Well, in fact, at one moment in history in the late 1800s, which if you watch the show, you'll certainly know that it was one of the most important lumber markets in the world, because Stillwater was had the largest lumber mills in the entire country back in the late 1800s.
Which I thought was a little surprising, because in all of our travels, wouldn't you have thought that would have been on the Mississippi? Like a bigger river?
Right. It was St. Croix.
But what a very cool town that is. Those buildings on Main Street. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. It reminded me of Galena.
And they also said that only a year ago, the woman at Smith & Trade, Kelly and Paul, which that might have been my favorite, by the way. Smith & Trade was such a cool shop.
Yeah.
The Smith & Trade lady told us that only a year ago, there was at least 25 empty shops on Main Street. Now, not a one.
Yeah.
That tells you something about small town America coming back, huh?
People are wondering, what is Smith & Trade? Tell them.
Oh, okay. Smith & Trade is a local artisans kind of showcase shop. And the woman, Kelly, and her husband, Paul Coffer, who own it, she's an interior designer. And she had a ton of experience on television because she worked for HGTV.
So just a side note, she had a series very early HGTV.
Oh yeah.
Then they hired her, and she was the designer and the set. She did all of the sets for I think it was 16 series, which is why she got in contact with so many artisans, because she didn't want to be a one-trick pony, which is why they kept her on staff. So she did Curb Appeal was one of hers.
Yeah.
I Hate My Kitchen.
I hate my bath. I just remember saying that. I'm like, did you have I Hate My Bedroom?
Right.
My laundry room.
So, yeah, she was great. And her husband was a business guy who, during the pandemic, was, I think, laid off.
Yeah.
And
they make a good team, don't they?
They make a great team.
They make a great team. But what I loved most about that is she brought all these artists in for us. So let's go over why it's called Smith & Trade. She explained that to you pretty well, didn't she?
Because Smith is like, if you think of a blacksmith,
yeah,
that's a trade. So it's anybody who, like, they're all called smiths.
When you look at it like blacksmith, any of these artisans can be called smiths.
Absolutely.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you
now
like
that's how I'm going to refer to anybody who I know, like, does this stuff. You're a smith.
You're a smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of those shops on the little Main Street in Stillwater, and Main Street is actually called Main Street.
Yep.
So that's charming. It worked out just like we had hoped. in
Yeah.
this town.
And this is a great main street.
Yeah, it was. Very good.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production. So come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv.
So on the corner of Myrtle and Main, which is where we started our entire week, is where the state of Minnesota began, which is
Yes.
kind of remarkable.
Right. I wonder if the building, because it was a convention, correct? There was a territorial convention held on that spot.
Right. Because in 1848, the state of Wisconsin became a state, and everything west of that river had no government. So they were, left in the wilderness. And the people of Stillwater got together and had a convention and voted to send a delegate to Washington so that they could have a territory. And they became a territory a year later and a state 9 years later.
That was very good memorization, because yes.
Thank you. Yeah, now I have Rochester in my head. So.
Oh, you've already started memorizing? Okay, so let's just let our audience in on how this works. So there's something that I call the summary. And John is like, it's a book. It's not a summary. Of the episode. It lists all of our main interviews. It lists all of our kind of stand-ups. We have to write a lot of the stand-ups ahead of time because
So they don't know what a stand-up is.
Oh,
Lois.
okay. Well, then you tell them what
No,
it
you
is.
tell them what a stand-up is. In your mind,
It's when you just speak directly to the camera
by myself.
by yourself. That's a McGivernism, or when I write the things for the summary, or when my associate producers write, those are called the stand-ups. That means it's something that you say directly to the camera. The lift bridge in Stillwater, by the way, gorgeous, and it's iconic. It's like the symbol of Stillwater. A lot of good food in Stillwater. That's also, like, you can go up and down that main street and there's shops like crazy and restaurants like crazy.
There's over 100 on Main Street. In
Yeah.
a town of 20,000 people, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the fact that USA Today named Stillwater one of the 10 best small town food scenes in the country.
Nice.
So if you leave Stillwater hungry,
we're laughing because what he wanted to say was, if you leave Stillwater hungry, you're a fool. And I said, can you not insult the viewers?
okay, so I ended up saying you're an idiot. Yeah, so
So what was surprising to you? And was anything surprising to you in Stillwater?
the gondolier.
Oh, he was surprising to you? Yeah, like,
Well, weren't you surprised it was a gondolier?
yes. That it's a real true gondola from Venice, too. Like, made in Venice by gondola makers.
Right, he went to Venice to buy it.
And then it's in Stillwater. So, yeah, that is surprising. You're right. That is a big surprise. And you got on it? And even with your motion sickness, no problem.
No, the river was really mild that day.
Oh, what a nice, yeah, he was. And knows his craft, obviously. And has seen a lot of romance, I bet.
He has. Not on our trip, though.
But it was nice to get out on the river, and it was a nice, smooth boat to do it on. So
Yeah.
that was great. That was great.
So that was
surprising
good.
to me how hilly it was. It's literally in a valley, because every road that goes into downtown Stillwater is with these steep grades that go into downtown. But that St. Croix River is normally pretty calm, so that's pretty
We also did
beautiful.
some axe throwing.
Okay, axe throwing. You got that? You, in the end, that bullseye you hit was really you throwing an axe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. And you didn't even do it underhand. So yeah, axe throwing, forgot about that, and all the wedding stuff. So when we went out to dinner the night that you stayed back, we saw a wedding walking up and down the street, and Judd was shooting the photography for it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I was wishing I had a camera there,
Oh.
because we talked to Judd and his sister Emily about their venue, JX Venues at 123 Events, and boy, they've got a business and a half, don't they?
Yeah, they've done well.
That is such
In
a
an
smart,
old shoe factory.
a great space. It's just so pretty.
Yeah.
And he built that bar by himself, and that was neat.
Yep.
Huge weddings in Stillwater, and I wasn't aware that it was kind of a destination wedding spot. And now I understand it. Now that I was there, I understand it. Lots of boutique hotels, lots of
B&Bs.
choices, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old mansions in that town because of its lumber history. There was a lot of lumber barons, and so they built these big houses. What will you remember from Stillwater? Lumberjacks.
Probably that vertical lift bridge built in the early 1900s. It's really cool. And the fact that it's now a pedestrian bridge. What will you remember?
I will remember how it rained almost every day and how we dodged the raindrops somehow because we got everything shot during our scheduled times. And honestly, if you would have looked at the weather before we left, I was really afraid the sun was going to wash. And what was I going to do, you know?
Yeah, but we really were there. We were blessed around getting it done.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a great, our great first episode in Minnesota, Stillwater.
Loved
I think
it.
It was a good
right
choice.
outside Minneapolis, right? Right out, like 25 miles from Minneapolis, 15 miles from St. Paul. Easy to get to from Wisconsin. Yeah, I loved it. Thanks, Stillwater. It was a really fun town to visit.
Thanks.
Curious to find out where John is traveling next? Head over to our website, mainstreets.tv, to learn more. Again, that's mainstreets.tv. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and please leave us a review. That helps more people discover great programming like Main Streets. Look for us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to follow all the action. John McGivern's Main Streets is produced by Plum Media in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks for listening.